Yay, we're live. Yay, Kat, you made it. Hello. Welcome. Welcome to our second Chaotic Writers Club. Our monthly hangout, catch up, asking questions about books and life and authoring and all of those things. We've got a few good questions to jump into, but also uh, want to give people an opportunity to chat and catch us up on what they're doing in in the writing world and all of those things. And then also was thinking we could talk a little bit about planning for next year. But first, happy December from, well, at least it's December already in my neck of the woods. How am I doing today? I'm doing good. I'm in like planning tunnel vision right now. But I'm doing really well. I just came from a weekend of binge watching K-dramas, which was excellent. I needed that. I need a lot of like story downtime input to like create more things later. So I try and take the weekends and I read a bunch. And right now I'm also reading well, I'm listening to the audiobook of Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray, which I've read a few times before, but I always get something new out of it. So I'm enjoying that as well. December, I try and read a lot of like classics. So it's kind of like a Christmas tradition where I always read a few classic books in the month of December. So that's what I've been up to as far as like creativity and getting my creative brain flowing. I usually take December as downtime from social media. So I take a break from creating content on socials. And usually that gives me enough brain space and time to start coming up with my marketing plans for the next year. And I think we're going to try some new things next year. So that's going to be pretty fun as well. So yeah, doing pretty well. How are you doing? Let us know what's going on in your bookish lives as well. That sounds great. Refilling the well is important. I almost forgot about this, but I was doom scrolling through YouTube and saw it 7 minutes before the start. Awesome. Oh, I love a good YouTube doom scroll. Excellent, excellent. We love to hear it. That is where I spend a lot of my free time as well. Right. So we've got one question. So I wanted to jump into that and then maybe we'll chat more about plans for 2026. And if anybody else hops in the meantime who has questions as well or wants to talk about um, their bookish plans or bookish problems, if they need help brainstorming any solutions to what's going on in their story or need help with, marketing, publishing questions, let me know in the comments and I'll jump on those as well. Um, it's okay. It's still November here, so I'm trying to get the last few words in. Excellent. Yeah, it's still November for a lot of people today. It's December 1st here in Australia, so we're opening all the day one of Advent calendars and stuff today, which is fun. All right, so Whitney asks, can you talk about how you juggle the admin responsibilities of authorship? Like, how do you allow your brain to relax and get things done when you know there's writing to do? How much time do you allow yourself to do that kind of stuff? And then, generally, what are some tools and routines that you use? That's a great question. I honestly think that the bigger you get as an author, the more time gets taken away from writing, from the creation of books process. Um, and then you kind of like hit a certain threshold and then you start going, okay, I need to start outsourcing this to other people so that you can start regaining time into the writing again. And I've been slowly trying to let go of the reins of different things as far as marketing goes so that I can have more space and more time, reclaim more energy for the writing because that's hello from Iceland, very cool. Hello from Australia. But yeah, no, it's a constant juggle. I think that the percentage amount of time that I take on admin tasks and like marketing, edit, like all of the publishing side of things, of it, just even replying to emails is a huge chunk of my day. Usually, like the writing and creative time is not uh even 50% of it. I would say, I because I like doing things like our writing challenges, like the 3-day 30K, I get a lot of writing done really quickly. And then I have days where I'm more focused on writing. So like every Friday at our library, we have like these writing Fridays where we do Pomodoro sprints all day long. And so I get a big chunk of my writing done each Friday. So I'll fast draft a book over our 3-day 30K challenges, or work on like a big intense chunk. And then usually most of the week I'm not doing writing. I might do a little bit of editing, like a couple editing chapters a day, because I feel like editing, it requires such focus that it's hard to sustain that for too many hours in a day. So I like to spread that out, because with editing, you're thinking like, am I hitting the right plot beats? Like, is this sentence structure right? Like, are there any continuity errors? Is there a better way to say this? Could I put a metaphor in here? So there's like, you have like 20 questions you're asking yourself with each sentence. And so I think that kind of level of focus requires so much brain energy that you really don't can't sustain that for like 10 hours. I think that would that would kill me. That would be way too much. So I like to do a little bit of editing each day as I'm doing like passes once I get books back from my editor and things like that. So that I like to spread out more. So I might do 2 to 3 chapters a day of editing, and then the writing and revisions I'll do like once a week. And then the rest of the time really is all of the like marketing and author business admin of things. If I have events coming up, if I'm doing giveaways, if I'm sending things, like all of that sort of stuff takes up a huge amount of my time. And even now I have like an assistant now who helps me with a lot of things, like replying to emails, chasing up artists who we're commissioning for things, helping with like my Patreon, and newsletters, things like that, which is just kind of necessary if I want to do like all the things. There's just too many things otherwise. And I think that going into 2026, I will probably also be bringing on board someone to help more with some of my content generation for book marketing purposes, like somebody who has a really good graphic design eye, who can help with some of those things as well, just batching content for me. So those are things that I feel like I might be outsourcing, but I'm kind of one of the I'm one of the last holdouts of authors that I know and am friends with, who started around the same time as me, who does most of my own marketing myself. Like I like marketing. I like being face to face with readers. I like kind of being in touch with people. Uh, but also I find myself going back and forth. I'm an ambivert, so I like to kind of go to reader events and see people, but then I'm like, okay, I need to hide in my writing cave for a month and not talk to people at all. So that is my problem, is that I don't have consistency when it comes to those sorts of things, and I think I need somebody brought on board who can kind of maintain the brand and the consistency for that. But it is something that I've done myself for most of my author career, and I feel like marketing and launching a book takes a lot of energy. You put so much love and care into the creation of this book. You want it to have the best chance out in the world once you release it. And so that can be like, kind of playing whack-a-mole with like just constant content pushes and things. I think I've developed more streamlined strategies as I've gone to save myself time, instead of just being like totally chaotic with it. Although I am still pretty chaotic, like I kind of create a plan at the beginning of each book run, each publishing run. And that marketing plan by like week 2 or 3 goes completely out the window. And then it's just like chaos. So for me, I kind of have accepted the fact that that's just the way my brain works. Like my ADHD likes, well, so I'm ADHD, and my autism likes the planning and the organizing and having a routine. And my ADHD is like off the rails, let's just go for it. And so between the two, we kind of get the like vestiges of a plan. and then the ADHD just kind of does what it wants with it. But yeah, no, I think uh it's hard. It does pull you away from the writing, but I think for me, because I have deadlines, I know that the writing has to be done, and I think that's really good for me. Um, but yeah, so um, I think, the writing is always my priority. I Writing comes first, I won't be making um social media content if a book needs to be done. I think those sorts of things need to get put on hold for the writing to be finished. But for me, I really need that kind of like body doubling, relying on going places where there's no internet and, the phone goes away and people are writing and working quietly around me. And so I can rely on that to know, like, okay, the writing needs to happen. But for me, the writing is the fun part, and like the kind of publishing side is more of the work. So I feel like I kind of wear two hats. I wear the creative artist hat, and that's very like sweet and sensitive and kind of protective of my craft and my books and things. And then once the book is created, I switch into the business hat where the book is a product that I'm trying to sell, right? And so I think like on any given day, I'm switching hats a lot of the time. And so have to jump in between those two brains. But for me, I kind of view it as like energy budgeting. Like I only have, 100 energy dollars to spend each day. And how many of those dollars do I want to spend on admin and marketing and those sorts of things? And how much do I want to spend on writing? And so for me, it's constantly thinking about it that way, because especially for us who are all kind of self employed and running our own businesses, I think we kind of can think of ourselves as like these endless wells of like marketing energy, and don't realize there's only so many hours in the day, and you can't just like always be creating more content or always be publishing more things. And so you have to think about like, where does that energy go? So for me, it's something I check in with a lot and rely on other people for deadlines and accountability to make sure that the writing gets done. So hopefully that answers your question, Whitney. Kat says, I can help with the designs, but I won't be extra professional since I have the free version of Canva. By extra professional, I mean fancy text. I do my own covers. I'm the same way with my ADHD. You get me. You get me. No, I feel like I'm pretty skilled with Canva, but at some point I think I need to just bring somebody else on board who's kind of like works for a content creation service and can do that as well. But I appreciate the offer. Thank you. Fallon says, I feel that I need the structure of routine, but I get bored with my routine and have to change it up every couple of days sometimes. Yeah, you get me. I mean, that's kind of why I created the 3-day 30K challenge as well, is because I don't do consistency well. I like short challenges. I can kind of maintain the energy of doing something the same way every day for like 3 days, and then I want to do something else. And so I think, it's really good to have that. I think authoring is quite a good profession for that kind of brain because it's so project based, because you're constantly working on a new idea, new story, trying a new promotional tactic, things like that. So I do think it is like a quite a good career for neurodivergent people, but it can also be hard if you don't have boundaries and you're not protecting your mental health and making sure you're taking time to rest and things like that. Because I think, it's something I hear a lot of people saying is, like, well, every day you're not posting online is a missed opportunity. And I think that that's like a really dangerous mentality to have, especially if you're going to be around in 10 years doing this still. It's like, oof, like that can only last you for so long. And then it's like flipping it on its head is like every day is a missed opportunity to like rest or write or create or read a book, or like there's other opportunities that were missed by spending it on creating social media content too. So I feel like it's that kind of balance between the two is really important, and for me, I'm constantly recalibrating where that balance sits. I think especially when I was starting out, there's definitely a lot more need to hustle and need to push the books, and now it's more like trying to create like consistency and continuity with how much I'm creating and posting. So it's changed over time, but yeah, it's something I'm thinking about going into 2026 is maybe outsourcing a bit more of that so I have more time to write and focus on storytelling. Also, so I usually take December off of social media and uh, kind of content creation, which I feel like everybody should do at some point. Take a little bit of time off from social media, like go on a social media break for at least 3 days, if not more, of just not checking their socials. I think that that's really, really good for your mental health because sometimes you just don't realize that you're like the frog that's slowly being boiled until you like take a break and then you're like, "Oh, right. Okay." I feel so much better. Like, what is this? I feel so much lighter all of a sudden, not having to keep up with everything all the time. So I think that it's really important to have those breaks. And more, I think I'm realizing that I need somebody else to kind of take over some of that side of things because it does kind of drain me. So I have like a little bit of energy to like dip in. I love things like this. I love talking with other writers and being in community with authors and things like the Discord group. That sort of stuff gives me a lot of energy. But when it's like, you know, posting for the 100th time about a book's release day and like there's a graphic that has like a big sign that's like out November 4th or whatever and like the first two comments are like when is it out and you're like oh I can't do this, I can't do this today, or just like getting tagged in negative comments and things like that, negative reviews, things like that, even though it doesn't really like bother me the way that it used to. It's just like it's just one more thing on top of you. After a while you're just like, yeah. Dante's Peak reference, recipe for frog soup, recipe for disaster. Yeah. So yeah, that's something I'm thinking about this year. Last year, my word of the year, I have a word of the year each year for my business, and last year was ease, which I really liked, and I think it was good because I kind of slowed down a lot with a lot of my promotional stuff, and I realized that I had a need for that. And now I think I'm going to be doing even more of that next year. So I'm thinking I'm doing less traveling, less events next year, focusing more on creation and also like um taking more time to read and consume stories as well. I feel like for a while I was just so busy churning out books that I didn't have time to really spend a lot of time, you know, reading and taking a break and maybe even having a hobby that's outside of writing. I don't know, that might be too far. The thing is, I love writing. Like, I don't think I could go for too long without writing. Actually, it's so interesting. My husband sent me a photo of me from like 15 years ago when we were on holiday in Samoa. And I'm just sat there with like a notebook writing a story. And it's like I've just been doing this forever. Like this is what I do in my free time is I create stories. So I feel like the creating of stories doesn't really feel like work and it doesn't feel like a business time. But then the rest of it is like, okay, well, I want this book to do well and I want people to read it and I want to, have like a cohesive marketing plan and I want to communicate with everyone all of the things and I want to do some fun promotional stuff and all of that starts to, you know, become a lot to maintain. And so then it's like a question of, okay, how much do I want to do? I could just do less, or I could bring someone on board to help me do the same amount. And so that's kind of, I waffle between that. Like last year was more just me doing less instead of bringing someone on board to help me do the same amount. And then this year, I think my word of the year is going to be delight, which I really love because I read this interesting study about happiness and about how it's all about like finding small delights throughout the day. Actually, reading Oscar Wilde, there was a great quote. What was it in The Picture of Dorian Gray? That I wrote it down because I was like, this is so Oscar Wilde. Is I adore simple pleasures. They're the last refuge of the complex. So good. But yeah, so searching for the simple pleasures, doing things that delight me, doing more of that sort of stuff and letting go of more of the things that I don't enjoy because a lot of marketing I really do enjoy. Like I like making content and I like being in touch with people. So it's more about how can I do more of that and less of the things that kind of drain me um, and burn me out. So thinking about that, thinking about all the books I'm doing next year. I'm going back and forth whether I'm going to do more of the zoo books next year or give them a year in between each book. So I keep going back and forth with that. It'll depend. I keep looking at my calendar and being like, I could do it, but should I? Do I want to? Those sorts of things. So it's just thinking about all of that sort of planning because with books and book releases, you're kind of like, okay, so if the book needs to come out this day, then this is how many weeks before the ARC readers need it, then this is how many weeks before the editor needs it, then this is how many weeks before, and so you start doing that timeline and it gets overwhelming when you think about that. I always joke that I could uh you know, I could write, 10 books a year, but whether I want to publish 10 books a year is a completely different story. They're two different things, and I definitely don't have the energy for publishing and marketing 10 books a year, but I could probably write that many with glee. So it's that kind of balance that I'm thinking about. My word of the year for 2026 is grace. Like, give yourself grace. I've been talking so much on that I almost forgot that I'm human and taking so much on that I almost forgot I'm human and need the extra time to get more done. I like that a lot. Grace is a great word for the year. Does anybody else have a word of the year? If you have a word of the year, let us know. Um, yeah, I feel like that's so important. I also think that we put a lot on ourselves to strive for perfection and actually nobody else cares. you know like I think we forget sometimes, like we make ourselves feel like we have to have everything perfectly in order and actually people aren't paying that close attention and aren't noticing those things, especially with things like marketing and social media. Like if something doesn't do well, like a post doesn't do well, people aren't watching that. So they don't even know, like they only see the successes. So it's something we need to be kinder with ourselves about. And it's okay to be inconsistent too. I think that the kind of like posting all the time consistency thing is a lie that we're told by social media gurus and algorithm gods, to kind of make us feel like we have to be, you know, trapped online all the time. But actually, I would say that there's lots of people I know who are posting wildly inconsistently and are still doing very well. So I think that, always be questioning the motives of people who tell you you need to give more of yourself to things. So yeah, that's a perfect word of the year, I think. Grace. Yeah. Right. Does anybody else have any other writing questions, things they're going through, things they need help figuring out? This is something I wanted to do monthly for people who just need a writing buddy to chat with or need help figuring out bookish problems. ask an author who's probably been there and and been through all of those things already. And then we'll also use these monthly lives as a prep session for our next writing challenges as well. So our next writing challenge will be January 10th, I believe. So next month now. Oh my gosh. Now that it's December 1st here in Australia. So we've got 5 3-day 30Ks happening next year throughout the year. And yeah, so we'll use these lives as a way to get ready and prepare for those as well. So that should be fun. Um, and also just have an available resource for people. I kind of wanted to create a space for um, writers who just needed some support, needed some advice, needed someone to chat with. I like, you know, we always have more fun brainstorming solutions for other writers than fixing our own problems. That is something my co-author Kate and I are always like, whenever we get together with other authors, we're like, by the end of a dinner, we've created a whole marketing plan for them or something, or given them like, the idea for the next book or whatever. But then it turns on ourselves and we're like, no, we don't want to do that. Cool. All right, then I will be off. I'm going to meet up with my assistant and we're going to talk about 2026 and our marketing plans. And we've got lots of exciting things coming. We're doing a lot of new things on Patreon next year. We're going to have a new hype team for Dreamslayer coming out at the end of the year. So we're going to be doing talking a lot about hype team launches and things like that. So if people want to know more about that, I might make a video about that later, and also maybe make one about what we're doing on Patreon too, because we've got a lot of exciting updates and changes coming to that as well. So yeah, it should be good. But anyway, I will let people go. And I hope you have a lovely, lovely day of writing. And I wish you all the words. All right. Bye, friends.